Well, and thanks, Rick. That is an interesting story, and it connects with something we're going to talk about next, because it's about supply chain, and supply chain is always a concern for us or for our readership.
Right.
And it's actually the focus of the next article that we're going to talk about right now. We ran an article called "Putting the Quality Back into Supplier Management," and that ran in Wednesday's issue of Quality Digest Daily. It was written by Matthew Littlefield, who's presenting a webinar actually, which you probably know about.
I know all about it.
Titled "Managing the Complex Supply Chain Ecosystem," and that's coming up this Wednesday, January 25th at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. The webinar is sponsored by Sparta Systems and is moderated by our very own Dirk Ducharme, and you can register for that webinar by visiting Matt's article, and there's a link right there to the registration page. So, speaking of Matt's article, the key points of the piece, and we're going to get into it in a little bit further here in a moment, is now manufacturing is truly a global undertaking, as we all know, and quality across the supply chain certainly is more important than it ever has been before. Enterprise resource planning, ERP implementations help to streamline these systems, but that comes at a cost. Finance, accounting, procurement are divisions, departments that can greatly benefit from ERP implementations, but quality management now is often neglected. This has led to a rise in the importance of enterprise-wide quality management software.
Right.
We're going to talk about that now. We're going to take a deeper look at these issues with the author of the article, Matthew Littlefield, who is with us via Skype. I'd like to welcome him. Matt, are you there?
Hey guys, I'm here.
All right.
Awesome.
How are you today?
Hey, I'm great. I particularly liked your first article there. I was feverishly writing down notes and making sure I turned off my cell phone, IM, and email before we started.
Right, exactly.
Well, thanks for doing that. Well, let's talk about supply chain and complexity. How did we get here and with supply chain and the complexity of that, and why is this of ever increasing importance for all of us in the quality world to know about this?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the world we live in, and it goes to some of the other articles that we heard about today, as well as our article. Companies are globalizing, demand's globalizing, and so is the design process. So companies today have to orchestrate a large number of stakeholders in the supply chain. And as companies try and build quality into a way of life, they have to build quality into all of those processes. So I think it has to do with the increasing complexity, the number of players, and what it means to be a manufacturer today.
Well, let's dive a little bit into the actual software itself that we want to talk about a little bit. Quality-oriented software, rather than software that's specifically geared towards procurement or ERP. Why is quality software a better solution for manufacturers in particular who are looking to manage their suppliers?
Well, I think it has to do with the focus of the software architecture and how it's being infused throughout the business process of the company. If you look at a system that might not have been purpose-built for quality, very often it's focused on some other endeavor or some other pain point, right? So maybe it is flowing goods more quickly and efficiently through a supply chain, or maybe it's balancing the books at the end of a quarter, or managing inventory better. That's the primary focus, and often when you implement that software, quality is an afterthought, and it isn't properly addressed with those traditional systems. So this is a pain point that a lot of companies have, that they don't have an easy way or an effective way to manage quality within the four walls of their factory, as well as across their trading partners, both customers as well as suppliers. So we're seeing companies adopt software that helps build that business process and connect those people across those different organizations.
Now are organizations really all that willing to share kind of their metrics with the entire supply chain, or at least with the vendor, between the vendor and the supplier? I mean, seems like that's a little like telling people what you're putting in the sausage. I mean, are they really willing to do that?
Yeah, Dirk, that's a great question. And traditionally, I think the answer would be no. I think a lot of companies out there today, especially manufacturing companies, when they're dealing with often larger, more powerful customers, brand owners or retailers, need to have some buffer, and that buffer sometimes is information. They don't want to share everything about their operation with those larger companies because of fear for being squeezed, either on price or time or quality or whatever that metric might be. But what we're seeing more and more is that the retailers or brand owners understand this, understand the pain, and they're trying to be more collaborative with their suppliers. They realize that they just keep squeezing on their suppliers, the overall system is less efficient. So we're seeing companies, the larger companies, partnering with, in a collaborative way, their suppliers, saying, hey, we have these software tools that will help you improve your business and help us also improve our business. So as long as it's brought about in a collaborative way and built on trust, where the manufacturers or suppliers don't believe they're just going to get squeezed on price or time or quality, we're seeing companies being more and more responsive and receptive to providing more visibility throughout the supply chain.
And when we're talking about these software solutions, we're talking about nuts and bolts solutions here. We're talking about doing root cause analysis, corrective actions, really looking at problems that may crop up and how to deal with them both upstream and downstream. Is that correct?
Yeah, in the article we talk about enterprise quality management software as a whole. So this is that software that deals with all those things, right? Centralized collection of nonconformances, corrective and preventive actions, managing documents, managing audits. And we're seeing companies now build on top of that platform supplier quality solutions. So these would be specifically portals that suppliers can interact with in a web-based way, as well as collaboration tools and visibility tools. So we're going really beyond just EDI or communicating with finished goods analysis or finished goods testing and submitting those reports in a paper-based way, but really automating that communication to allow for quicker analysis of the data.
Now, let's talk sectors a little bit. Now, talk about some industries that have specific requirements or needs within, again, different sectors that have different types of supply chains and different needs that can be addressed by some of these solutions.
Yeah, it definitely does differ by industry, so I'm glad you brought that up. In the article we talked about maybe the pharmaceutical industry, right? They were one of the first industries to really focus on enterprise quality management software. Compliance solutions, CAPA solutions, could be batch records for the pharmaceutical manufacturing. But in pharmaceuticals, they haven't been as focused on the broader supply chain. They maybe aren't as advanced in terms of collaborating with their suppliers. Just before this segment, I know you're talking about the electronics industry. In our analysis, that's one of the industries that's most advanced in dealing with suppliers. So the electronics industry has had outsourced manufacturing for a very long time. And they understand that quality is important, so delivering a quality product to the end user. And the only way they can manage that is through managing the quality of suppliers. So that's a pretty advanced industry. Another industry that we're seeing coming up quickly is both consumer products as well as food and beverage. So there's increasing legislation within those industries with the FSMA. And we're seeing companies responding to that by trying to understand the processes as well as the quality of the products that they're getting from suppliers. So I'd say that's one of the up-and-coming industries in the supplier quality management space today.
And Dirk touched on this a little bit a moment ago, the idea of what's in it for the supplier themselves. What does the supplier get out of this by kind of conforming to the needs of the manufacturer themselves?
I see two main benefits to the suppliers. One is building deeper relationships with their customers. So if you have that collaborative environment and you can start building trust with your customers, as one of their preferred suppliers, you can gain, I'd say, mind share and pocket of those customers. So get more business within your customer base. The other thing that we've seen is those customers themselves get access to process improvement tools. So maybe they don't have great internal quality processes, and maybe they do need some help. So sometimes these larger companies can give the tools and expertise to their suppliers to internally improve quality, which only hence improves their profitability as they reduce that cost of poor quality in their own operations.
That's great. Well, hey, Matt, thanks. We could definitely chat about this for a longer time, and as a matter of fact, we're going to.
We're going to exactly.
in about 5 days. We're going to be back at the audience, and folks that can register for that. So thanks, Matt. We're going to, again, talk about this on Wednesday. That, again, will be at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Right.
And if you want to register for the event, you can do so online. At the end of Matt's article is a link. You can check out Matt's article below the player right here, and you can register for the event, and you'll be able to hear Matt and Dirk rap about this topic for a good long time and really get into it and answer your questions as well. So look out for that on Wednesday. Matt, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in a few days.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
awesome.
Matt.
Looking forward to it.
Talk to you soon.
All right.